Congressman Murphy, welcome back to the program. Great to see you.
Nice to see you. Thank you, Tony.
So I want to get your thoughts on the president's new reciprocal tariffs on this first Liberation Day.
Yeah, Tony, I think we have to step back and kind of say why. Why is this all occurring? Because I think, truth be told, I don't know that message has gone out very well. So if you look at what's happened with trade in the United States, the Biden administration did absolutely nothing over the last 4 years in American trade. And what President Trump has realized, sadly enough, we haven't had any action upon this, is that we've been treated very, very poorly by a lot of our trade partners, such that we have such a massive trade deficit. And so look at some of these countries, India, some of the other Southeast Asia countries that also put huge tariffs on American goods. He's literally trying to level the playing field. And if you look at what China's doing to us also, so much tariff, we're not allowed to put American products in their markets. So why are they allowed to really flood our markets? It's trying to rebuild what's happened in America, the fact of the fall of manufacturing and so many other industries in the United States. This is what the aim is. The methods are difficult. Sometimes I'll be ready to admit, but this is what the president is aiming to do. Also to try to onshore, nearshore, really, so much of our pharmaceutical industry that really is critical for the nation's medicines.
Dr. Murphy, if I could use an analogy here, sometimes when you take that medicine, it doesn't necessarily taste well at first, but if you want to get better, you got to take it.
I think that's a very good analogy, Tony. And sadly enough, as with a lot of the other things that the administration is doing, as far as, hiring freezes, as far as trying to cut things back, the nation really is very close to financial peril, where we're going to face a sovereign debt crisis. We're trying to do things to prevent problems in the future. And as you noted with the medicine, it's kind of difficult at times really at the beginning, but we're really trying to solve a huge problem. I wish we messaged better on that. But hopefully moving forward, America really understands not only the end to what this is or why the methods are being done.
I mean, this has been going on for years, this trade imbalance, where essentially what it means is that we're giving money to other countries because we're buying their cheaper products. They're not buying our products. In fact, many of them shut the door to our products, which means when we don't produce products, we don't create jobs and we don't have good paying jobs. So this is about creating jobs. It's about bringing more manufacturing back home. In the end, it's about a stronger, more resilient economy, is it not?
Yeah, it also is about national security, Tony. I think we really can't emphasize that enough. We want to bring a manufacturing sector back to the United States that has been killed in the last quarter century. But we also want to make sure that this nation is secure, that we're able to produce products at home that are important for our national defense, be they pharmaceuticals, be they agricultural products, be they manufacturing items that are critical for this nation's survival. So this is also a big picture of what we're trying to do moving forward with some of these tariffs.
And that's not a hypothetical. Did we not see that as an issue back during COVID?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially, we look at our medicines. There was a point, really, if China decided they'd cut off our medicines, we had 2 months of critical medicines. Truth be told, as someone who now, because of some surgery last year, has to take medicines on a daily basis, I think this is critical more than anything. I understand its importance more than anything to make sure that we have survival for patients in the United States.
So let's talk practical implications here. We talked big picture. What does this mean for our country? What does it mean for national defense? What does it mean for our economy going forward? But how is this going to impact the average American family?
Yeah, and I think that's a critical item to say. How is this going to impact? What's it going to do to somebody's daily lives? The whole purpose of these tariffs, people have talked about, well, they'll be a revenue generator for our debt. I don't want them to be. I want them to be a zero revenue generator. That means we're able to actually tell countries or get countries to act in an interest that is interest for both countries. We get our goods there, and they can get our goods here without tariffs. So we'd love to really get to a point where these tariffs are not needed. How does it happen to the average person? There may be a short-term rise in some prices until manufacturing here in the United States can kick up. Hopefully it's not. Hopefully these countries understand. We've seen pressure. We've seen things change in Mexico. We've seen things change in India. We've seen things change in Vietnam since the president has introduced the whole tariff idea. We want countries really to act well so we don't have to have any of this, so there is no effect on the United States.
So I want to talk about China for a moment, Dr. Murphy, because you're a member of the Taiwan caucus. You track what's happening there very closely. Do you think that China is going to adjust their trade relationship with us?
I think they will. They're going to talk a good talk. But if you look at what happened with President Reagan in the Soviet Union, how he was able to literally tear the wall down, how that happened in a bellicose time when the Soviet Union was really trying to be the world power over the United States, is he got at their economy. But the same thing's happening with China. China has now tried to have a one world policy where they're taking over the world. But if you look at what China's economy is, they only have about a 30% domestic production, or rather domestic consumption. If we're able to get back at that, where we're not taking in all their goods all the time, it really hinders the ability for China to push forth communism across the world. And I think this is all, again, part of national security as we're trying to beat back the Chinese influence. Malinfluence really is what's happening worldwide.
And should not human rights be a part of that calculation? We look at what they're doing to religious minorities. And as you said, they're exporting a lot of their totalitarian tactics and even their technology that other repressive governments are using.
Sure. To your point, what they've done to the Uyghurs, forced organ harvesting, so many of these horrible, horrible things that they're doing really to their own people. What would the world look like if they ruled the world? So again, this is all part of a big policy to get American manufacturing back up, but it's also a part of national security and international policy.
As you, I want to dwell here for just a moment on China and Taiwan. The State Department sanctioned 6 Beijing and Hong Kong authorities responsible for abuses in Hong Kong this past week. What are some of the ways you would like to see the Trump administration being more aggressive in countering the Chinese Communist Party's reach and influence beyond just the trade issue?
Well, we have to look at where they are. If you go over to Africa, the Belt and Road Initiative, same thing in Central America and in South America, they've gotten in and they're developing all these pathways and all the infrastructure that a lot of these countries need. But what they're really trying to do is make sure that the Chinese influence is there to stay. We saw what President Trump did with the Panama Canal. You have to carry a big stick. The last administration had not a big stick, but a big whimper, is what the rest of the world saw from the United States. So, Trump can be very tough at times, and sometimes people don't like that. But I think that attitude really brings people to stand up and say, okay, we actually have to deal with a strong United States. It's difficult at times. Sometimes the methods don't give you all the touchy-feeliness that some countries want and some liberals across the nation want. But this is really firm policy. So many of the countries of the world don't understand or don't really respect, rather, policies were put forth by the Biden administration, the tenor of the Biden administration. We're seen as too tough, too mean, but this is how the world stands up and understands that we mean business.
Well, when you look at the Belt and Road Initiative of the Chinese Communist Party, that's a predatory. They're not helping these other countries. They want the rare earth minerals. They're looking to benefit themselves, not these countries.
Yeah, look at what's happened in Ukraine. I mean, the president offered Zelensky a very good option to get out of this war where, millions of individuals are dying, and it's just totally unnecessarily. Right. It's to say, look, we'll put American influence there. We want something for it. And maybe that pushes Russia and gives Putin another chance to think about what he's doing. But this is all a very, very good policy move for international world peace.
Agreed. Dr. Greg Murphy, always great to see you. Thanks so much for joining us on Washington Watch today.
Great. Have a great day.